Warning: the following video contains material that may be harmful or disturbing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. A number of years ago, the e-commerce platform eBay was booming. I was both a buyer and a seller on eBay back then, and kind of like Amazon now, you could find pretty much anything on eBay. I recall sitting with my 10-year-old nephew, challenging him to come up with something I couldn't find. First, we looked for a set of cowboy action figures my husband loved as a kid. We're the same age, and I had never heard of Sam Cobra and Johnny West, but there they were, new in box on eBay. My nephew pondered my challenge for about 6.7 seconds and came up with shrunken heads. Yep, boy after my own heart. No wonder he's one of my favorite nephews. Anyway, there were over a dozen shrunken heads of various sizes and price points lined up in a pristine column on the screen. A few years later, another eBay oddity had basically gone viral. It was an aged wooden wine cabinet, dubbed by its current and previous owners as the Dibbuk box. The eBay listing was posted by a man named Kevin Manis under the title Dibbuk Haunted Jewish Wine Cabinet Box. He had purchased the box as part of a lot at an Oregon estate sale in September 2001. He planned to use most of the items contained in the lot, but would sell a handful of pieces, including the wine cabinet, in his antique store. Relatives of the box's previous owner offered that the woman, a Holocaust survivor who had recently passed at the age of 103, had purchased the wooden cabinet in Spain. She warned that it harbored a dybbuk, a malevolent spirit of folklore who would possess the living. Her granddaughter grew up understanding that the box was never, ever to be opened. Manis listened politely to the trivia and drove off with his new treasures. He didn't have any interest in the Dibbuk box, although he was familiar with the folklore. He eventually gifted it to his mother Ida for her late October birthday. As she waited for him to wrap up some business in another part of the store, Ida curiously ran her fingers over the doors of the box, embellished with clusters of wooden grapes. She opened the little doors and was hit with a gust of icy cold air. Then suddenly, she couldn't move or speak. She was having a stroke. Thankfully, a store employee noted her drooping eyelid and contorted mouth and alerted her son Kevin. He found her unmoving, sans the outstretched arm pointing at the box. Her glassy eyes were desperate and pleading. She knew she had to protect her son from whatever evil had been released. As fall turned to winter, the cynical antiques dealer became tormented night after night by horrible dreams. Nightmares of a frightening hag who wailed and pummeled him left him exhausted. But that wasn't all she left him. He awoke to find a dozen mottled purplish bruises covering his shoulders and back. That evil thing had to go. Now, let me stop here. At this point, it appears that several years have elapsed, with various members of the Manis family experiencing spooky incidents and unexplained activity. And it's around 2012, I think. As I always do when researching these stories, I culled my information from a variety of source material, and as so often happens, tellers of these tales seem to play fast and loose with the dates. There's nearly always some sort of discrepancy regarding dates and time periods. It used to drive me crazy. Now I just roll with it and let you guys know that I noticed. So, before placing the infamous eBay listing, Manis decided to spiff it up and sell it in his store. To his relief and surprise, it sold quickly. No more box, no more hags tormenting him in the night. Then it was back. He noted something odd resting on the floor near the entrance of the shop. There sat the wooden cabinet, boasting a handwritten note warning of a dark energy surrounding the antique. Time for eBay. Kevin sat down at his laptop and chronicled his entire experience with the wine cabinet. He wanted full disclosure about its powers, curse, evil energy. Whatever it was, he was hoping someone with expertise in the occult would take this thing off his hands and dispose of it in a safe, sensible manner. But that's not how it played out. A curious college student named Joseph was trolling eBay for oddities when he stumbled upon the Manis listing, which now had 7,500 watchers. His roommate scoffed and suggested he should just save his money, for beer, oodles of noodles, important frat boy staples. Then, a few days later, the roommate entered their shared apartment. He was instantly assaulted by the unmistakable odor of urine. It smelled like a porta-john. He wandered about searching for Joseph. He passed a large cardboard box and handfuls of styrofoam packing peanuts leading to the kitchen. On top of the small dinette sat the ornate wooden box from the eBay listing. And Joseph, the Dibbuk's new owner, admired it from a few feet away. He boasted that he intended to sleep with the box. He would blog about any hauntings or unusual experiences that might take place over the next few weeks. At first, he had very little to write about. Then he, too, began to suffer night terrors, and his hair fell out. Okay, this creepy thing really had to go. You guessed it, back to eBay for our guest of honor, the Dibbuk. 63-year-old Jason Haxton, curator of a medical museum in a small town in Missouri, won this new auction with his bid of $280. The earlier winning bid was $140. Immediately upon unboxing his new auction win, the dubious Haxton became immediately ill and suffered intense abdominal pain. But initially, he discounted the stories of hauntings, demons, and curses. Inside the cabinet, he found assorted random items, including 2 old pennies, a dried rosebud, and 2 locks of human hair. Writing them off as sentimental keepsakes, he closed the little doors and stored the box away. Right, like he thought the Dibbuk would be ignored. Nope, he too experienced what he called a tidal wave of bad luck. He came to believe that a demonic entity really did inhabit the box. So he sought out a rabbi deemed to be the only worthy opponent of a Dibbuk to determine his next course of action. Haxton was instructed to store it in a gold-lined wooden container to basically neutralize the evil spirit. Then he buried the whole thing in an undisclosed location in what he describes as a military-grade container. Now, a little over 2 years ago, Post Malone met up with Zak Bagans, host of the paranormal TV series Ghost Adventures. Zak also runs the Haunted Museum in downtown Las Vegas. No cookie-cutter haunted house, the 11,000 square foot building dates back to 1938 when it was known as the Wengert Mansion. Currently, it's among the most popular Vegas attractions and consists of 30 rooms housing some seriously scary stuff. From Demon Doll Peggy and the Devil's Rocking Chair, the museum also counts among its macabre exhibits the VW death van owned by infamous suicide doctor Jack Kevorkian. And now it's home to the Dibbuk box. Apparently, at some point between 2012 and 2018, Jason Haxton sold the cursed wine cabinet to Bagans for significantly more than the $280 he paid. But whatever, you do you, boo-boo. If you can get rid of the creepy thing and make a tidy little profit, good for you. Now, I should first explain that back in 2018, Bagans teased viewers on his Travel Channel series that he would open the famed Dibbuk box on his show in a 4-part Halloween special. And he had lots of fans clamoring to see it. In fact, I remember watching part of it. I believe the Halloween episode was live. Like me, the fans had probably been scared half to death by the 2012 movie titled The Possession, produced by Sam Raimi and starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I saw it alone during a weekday matinee, expecting a small-budget pre-Halloween scare. But despite lackluster reviews, the film was really well done, and Morgan's sensitive performance was impressive. If you want to see something entertaining this Halloween, check it out. Sam Raimi makes solid scary movies, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is really good in this one. Now, back to Zak. In the end, ghost host Bagans opted to not open the Dibbuk box during Halloween 2018. He claimed there was a darkness that pervaded his set and disrupted filming. As you might expect, fans were not happy, and they let him know it. So, in June 2020, he invited musician Post Malone to his Ghost Adventures set where he would again confront the Dibbuk. Now this is where the timeline gets a little hinky again. There were apparently 2 separate Dibbuk box confrontations by Zak Bagans last year during lockdown. From my understanding, it appears that the box was touched but not opened in the post-Malone meetup. However, Malone and witnesses on the scene claimed they felt an evil presence and saw an ominous dark figure in the room. With Bagans' hand on the wooden top and Malone's hand on his shoulder, the rapper became pretty freaked out. He flipped on the light switch, then made a hasty exit. Now, Post Malone confirms that he didn't actually handle or even touch the box himself. However, he went on to claim that he was cursed. Well, actually, he said he was possessed by an evil entity nonetheless. And according to Yiddish folklore, that's how dybbuks roll. They are believed to be the spirit of a person who has died a sinner. They must atone for their sins and may inhabit or possess a living person. The rapper claims that this spirit was responsible for a series of mysterious incidents, including a widely publicized emergency landing when the tires on his plane blew out, an accident involving his Rolls-Royce, and a terrifying armed home invasion at his former residence. Meantime, Bagans and his crew spent 4 weeks of quarantine filming in the haunted museum. According to Zak, everybody was anxious the entire time, between the overall creep factor of their surroundings to the requirements of social distancing. It was intense. This time, Bagans did open the box, and he said, quote, "The scariest part for me is what I saw and felt. We captured on camera an unbelievable mist coming out of the box that manifested eyes." Further, the lead investigator swears he saw the dybbuk itself crouching against the wall behind the cabinet. The crew worked shifts 24/7, which took a major toll on all of them, but they all agree the experience was unlike anything they'd seen or felt before, and they'll never forget it. And that brings us up to speed. As of this writing, as far as I was able to determine, the little wine cabinet, reported to be among the world's most haunted artifacts, is still housed in the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. The dybbuk has its own room and is stored in a glass case surrounded by a salt ring and sage. Now, if you guys have any additional updates or information to share regarding the dybbuk box, please let me know in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this spooky story, and I hope you'll join me next time for another. Until then, please check out my other suspenseful videos and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any twisted upcoming stories. Meantime, stay well. Scary Clary out.